Hey everybody, welcome to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. I am John Clark, and the Eagles are desperate for a win. They are 0-2. The Bengals are also 0-2. It's the first time Doug Pederson has started a season as Eagles coach at 0-2. So how does he get this team back on track and get their first win of the season? Here's the head coach with our own Fran Duffy for a little tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's.
Well, joining us this week on Tape Study presented by Chickies and Pete's, Eagles head coach Doug Pederson. Coach, welcome back to Eagles Game Plan. I want to talk to you real quick before we get into these plays. Just one quick question. It's obviously going into week 3, first time 0-2. When you draw back on how to kind of talk to your team and get them ready for this third week, do you draw back on other experiences as a player, as working with Andy Reid and working with Don Shula and Mike Holmgren, or do you work back to look, guys, we've been through this before, we've gone through a losing streak before. How do you kind of get the team ready for week 3?
Yeah, Fran, I really lean back on a couple of experiences, and one obviously most recently is our own experiences, right? Our own setbacks that we've had, whether it be through injury or a 2 or 3 game skid during the middle of a season. Something that I'd go back and just kind of think about those conversations I had with the team. And then I also go back to my time in Kansas City, where we started the season 1-5 and then went on a 11-game winning streak. Not to say that's going to happen here, but just knowing that experience and having gone through that with Coach Reid really applies to us now and where we are with this 0-2 start.
Well, Coach, one of those players that won't be available over the next couple of weeks is rookie wide receiver Jalen Reagor. He will be out with this thumb injury, which is really unfortunate because he has been such a bright spot over the first 2 weeks. This week, I thought he did some really good things over the middle of the field, and I just wanted you to kind of break this play down for us, show us what he did here on this play. What did you see here on this one?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jalen, he's a very explosive guy. He's got great speed. He's got really good hands. He's strong coming out of the break. And we knew with the structure of defense that the Rams were going to play that we could attack the middle of the field with these short, skinny post type of routes. And this is one of them here for Jalen that we designed during the week. And it's a training camp style of play. We put this in way back in training camp. And Carson's really just reading that linebacker in the middle of the field there between the hashes and throwing off of that. Zach is pulling out the flat defender. And then it just kind of opens up the middle of the field for Jalen. And the one thing you got to be careful, that backside safety is kind of reading Carson's eyes, and the ball is thrown in a perfect spot, right on time, which is right off of that hash mark. Great catch right here by Jalen. He does take a shot, but this is one of the things we've really liked about Jalen, his toughness, not only mentally but physically.
Coach, that was one of the things that really stood out to me. The first day the media was allowed out at practice is, we know Jalen Reagor can be a dynamic playmaker, deep threat, screen game, all kinds of things. But you see him running slants, digs over the middle of the field. I mean, right away, you kind of saw he had the ability to be a big part of the offense and not just a gadget-type player.
Exactly, and this is why, when you get these young players in your system, and, again, we've missed so much OTA and training camp time, you got to put them in these situations to see exactly what they can do, and we've been real impressed with Jalen so far.
All right, so let's get to the offensive line. Another big spot for this group last week against the LA Rams. Aaron Donald, we talked about him last week on the show. No sacks, and the run game able to get going as well with Miles Sanders back in the lineup. Just wanted you to take us through this touchdown run from Miles Sanders in his debut.
Yeah, it was great to get Miles back, great to get Lane Johnson back in the offensive line and really kind of solidify that particular spot. But Leonard Floyd, number 54, was an overhang player, and Carson saw that, kind of sniffed it out, brought Dallas down, and we ended up running an inside zone here. And the backside is tremendous right here with Herbig and Lane as they come off the ball. One thing you see about Lane, he comes flying, comes ripping off of the ball right there, on that 3 technique, and they're pushing him. Nate comes off, does a great job right there, and you can almost drive a truck right through this hole for Miles. And great vision right there. Good patience, too, by Miles. He sees the opening, and it's a burst into the end zone for the touchdown. But this was well executed. It started with Carson recognizing the defense, getting us out of a play into a much better play, and then well executed by the guys up front.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, your new official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Pick up your Eagles Fast Play ticket today.
8-9. Don't be holding me, 8-9. Hey, we got y'all. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, we good. We good.
Big time sack right there.
Hey, woo, got him out of the field range. I was happy. Thank you. Yeah, what did I tell you? 3 and out. Turnover. Whichever one. I prefer turnover.
All right, Brandon Graham mic'd up there. He had the only sack on Jared Goff against the Rams on Sunday. Mike Quick, defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz took the blame. He says he had a bad game plan against the Rams. What were the specific problems that you saw with the Eagles defense giving up 4 touchdowns?
John, I didn't think there was anything that these guys weren't expecting. I think it's the offense that we saw, but I saw a lot of confusion. And when guys look confused, they're going to be a step behind. And that's the only difference you need. If you're an offense, if you can get that edge, get the defense to be a step behind, you're going to win in most of those situations. And a couple of plays come to mind when I say that. You know, the touchdown pass to the tight end in the end zone, I thought Roby Coleman was 1 step behind, and that was the difference in that play.
All right, Ike Reese, so what can the Eagles defense do to recover from this? Over their first 2 games, they've given up 64 points. That's their most after their first 2 games in 49 years.
As impressed as I was with the defense and how they did some things in the first week from a communication standpoint, I was that much more disappointed in this week when I watched the guys on film. I think a way that you can get this corrected is you got to have more communication out there amongst the defense. I mean, when the Rams are running these bootlegs and bringing Jared Goff out the back end, you know, it has to be communicated to these defensive ends on the backside to stay at home, to check for the quarterback rolling out before you decide to chase the run on the other side of the field. Far too many times, the Eagles' defensive players seem to be out of place and a step behind whatever the Rams were doing offensively. I think a lot of that stuff can be corrected with pre-snap communication amongst those guys.
And the Eagles defense is going to be facing Joe Burrow. He's coming off a 300-yard game, a 3-touchdown game. With more on him, here's Greg Cosell.
The Bengals bring their rookie gunslinger Joe Burrow to town to face the Eagles. Burrow, of course, coming off one of the best college seasons ever for a quarterback. And one thing that stood out when you watched his LSU tape was he was in the shotgun on almost every snap. And being in the shotgun also involves empty sets where there's no back in the backfield. It's just the quarterback, Joe Burrow. Now, Burrow is clearly comfortable in these sets. It does a number of things. Number one, it spreads the defense out. It forces them to declare what their intentions are before the snap of the ball. Because if they're going to blitz, they have to show it. If they're going to play man, they have to show it. If they're going to back off and play zone, they have to show it. The defense really can't do a lot of disguise versus empty sets. This play from week 1 was a design play out of an empty set. And keep in mind, they have 5 actual wide receivers on the field here. They did that 7 times week 1 versus the Chargers. This is going to be a quarterback run. And you know that this is designed because if you look at the offensive lineman immediately, he gets right up on the middle linebacker, the Mike linebacker. So this is a beautifully designed and executed play against a defense that's totally spread out. So there's no one in the middle of the field, and it's a 23-yard touchdown run for Burrow. Really a well-schemed play. Then you go to week 2, and this is something I think you will absolutely see. Because what you see here is you see Joe Mixon initially in the backfield. Now Joe Mixon is going to shift to the boundary side of the formation, and you'll see you get some movement from the defense because now they have to react to the empty set. So now you're going to get Mixon, who's essentially just going to run a hitch route, and you get C.J. Uzomah. He's going to run kind of a tight end fade toward the pylon. It becomes a simple boundary read for Joe Burrow, and this is what you want. You want it to be defined. He's looking at the boundary safety and the boundary corner, the short side of the field. They will tell Burrow where to throw the ball. He drops back, that's where he's looking. He sees he has the throw to Uzomah. Easy touchdown for Joe Burrow. It reminds you of when he was at LSU, dropping back, comfortable, just letting the ball loose. touchdown. So you see two examples here of empty sets, and this is something that Jim Schwartz and the Eagles defense will have to be prepared for. How will they want to play this? The Eagles are not a high percentage blitz defense. Do you want to try to put a little pressure on Joe Burrow, make him play a little faster than he wants to? That will be part of the chess match this Sunday, because one thing about Joe Burrow that we know from college and from his first 2 NFL starts, he's poised, he's composed, he's comfortable in the pocket. You don't want to let him settle in and be that way throughout the whole game.
All right, Joe Burrow, he likes those empty sets. So, Ike Reese, I ask you, he's coming off a game where he had a rookie record 37 completions. If you're the Eagles, I know they don't do this a lot. Would you blitz him a lot this game?
Well, I don't know if I would blitz him a lot, John and Mike, but I certainly would blitz him. You can't allow a young quarterback to get comfortable back there. You got to try to mix up some of the coverages. Anything you can do to force him to hold on to that ball. He likes to get the ball out of his hands quick. He's very good at that. He's shown that through the first 2 games. The Eagles will have to give him mixed coverages and at times bring extra pressure on him because he hasn't seen all types of NFL defenses just yet.
And you've seen he has 4 touchdowns out of the empty sets. They love running the empty sets with him. He wants to see the field, spread it out. What can the Eagles defense do to stop that?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Eagles have faced some empty through the first 2 weeks of the season. You go back to last week versus the Los Angeles Rams, another team that likes to get into empty sets because Jared Goff wants to see where he can find a mismatch, an advantage for him so that he can make an easy throw. You take a look at this play here. You got Jared Goff in the shotgun. You got a 3x2 set to the right. They're going to motion Robert Woods across the field just to make sure the Eagles are in man coverage. The Eagles are given a 2-man look before the snap of the ball. And the biggest thing the Eagles did here to confuse Jared Goff is they dropped the safety down in the middle of the hole to basically rob Robert Woods of coming across the middle. That's where he wants to throw the ball immediately. You see Darius Slay, tight coverage on his man. That forces Jared Goff to hold the ball just a second too long, and you watch the guys up front. This is what the Eagles want to do. This is why they don't blitz as much, because they believe if you hold a 5-man protection versus their 4 guys up front, they have the advantage, and that's exactly what happens here. Brandon Graham's able to get the big sack here. Big play for the Eagles right here. They're going to need to show Joe Burrow these type of looks. Just have to mix it up for him so that he doesn't get comfortable.
All right, welcome back to Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. And Ike Reese, let me ask you about the turnover problem the Eagles have. 6 turnovers, most in the NFL, and Carson Wentz has 5 of those turnovers, Ike. Is it more than that for Carson just taking care of the ball?
No, it's not much more than that, John. If you look at the first 2 halves of both of these first games, I thought he moved the ball effectively. You know, not into that interception when the Eagles had a chance to go up against the Rams. I thought Carson Wentz was playing good football, taking what the defense was giving him. The exact same thing in the first week against Washington. It's the moments where he misses a throw or he misses a read that now he feels like he has to come back and get it all on one play, and he's forcing things. He just needs to take his time, allow the plays to develop for him, and take what the defenses are giving him. And when there's an opportunity to make a big play, take your shot, make the big play. But you don't need to force things, and that's what I've seen over the first 2 weeks. A guy trying too hard to make something happen as opposed to just letting it develop itself.
Yeah, we're seeing an issue with timing with the receivers and tight ends, Mike Quick, with those missed throws, especially that throw to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside that was intercepted in the end zone. Carson threw that late. So how can the timing of the offense improve here in the 3rd week?
It's really a matter of detailing your work, polishing your work during practice. You know, they don't have the entire playbook going into a game. They'll practice specific plays that are for that particular game during the week. And they have to make sure that the timing is such that you know exactly where that receiver is going to be. And Carson has that clock in his head so he knows exactly when to get rid of the football. It's really a matter of rehearsing it and going over it and going over it and making sure that you stick to the way you rehearsed it. You know, some of these off-schedule plays and some of these throws that are late, that are out of sync, it doesn't happen that way in practice. It has to be rehearsed, and then you have to be able to take that to the field on game day.
And they will be facing a younger Bengals defense that's flying around. With more on that, here's Greg Cosell.
The Eagles will play the Cincinnati Bengals at home on Sunday. Now, the Bengals are a young team on both sides of the ball, but particularly on defense, where one area they really looked to address in the draft was speed, particularly in their sub-nickel defense. The two linebackers that they drafted, Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither, both these players can run. They're the linebackers they use in their sub-nickel on third down because of the speed element. That's absolutely critical in today's NFL. So if we go back to week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers, you see what they try to do. It's all dependent on the defensive front. The defensive front is what sets the protection for the offensive line. And that's what happens here, because you can see the center covered, the right guard covered, and the right tackle covered. You can also see the left guard covered and the left tackle covered by Logan Wilson on the outside. So that leaves Akeem Davis-Gaither, who's just removed. He's not quite on the ball, but he's over the center basically. Now, what happens here is the nature of this pass rush on both sides of the offensive line creates an opening in the A-gap for Davis-Gaither. And this is where you see the speed come in. Look how quickly he explodes downhill and gets on top of Tyrod Taylor and hits Taylor's throwing arm as he releases the ball for an incompletion. That's the kind of thing that the Bengals want to be able to do on third down out of their sub-nickel defense with linebackers, rookie linebackers, Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither. This sets up a fascinating matchup with the Eagles this week, because last week the Eagles played almost 80% of their snaps against the Rams out of 12 personnel with 2 tight ends on the field, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. The Eagles even did that on third down. So this is the chess match involved in this game. Will the Bengals still go to their speedy sub-nickel package on third down, even against the Eagles' 12 personnel package? That is absolutely something to watch.
Yeah, with the Eagles going 2 tight ends, 12 personnel almost 80% of the time. Mike Quick, this Sunday against the Bengals, if those Bengals take out their linebackers, put in the young rookies, what can the Eagles do to take advantage of them?
Well, when you've got young linebackers, and they are fast, the 2 guys that they're going to put in those nickel situations and third down situations, they're fast, but John, they don't have the experience that those older guys have. So one of the things you can do is show them things. Give them the eye candy and then take it away from them. And you have to be creative. Just like in this screen game, they line up Miles Sanders on the left side, Jalen Hurts on the right side, and it's going to be a double fake on the screens. To the left side, first of all, he fakes to Miles. On the right side, he fakes it to Jalen Hurts. And watch the reaction of the defense. On both sides, you'll see the defense suck up to those fakes on the screen, but it creates a big void in the middle of that defense for him to then drop the ball down to the tight end with a lot of space, an easy throw, and then room to run for the tight end. And that's what they must do. They have to be creative on third downs with these young guys on the field and give them a lot to process, a lot to think about.
All right, we laid out the game plan to beat the Bengals, stopping Joe Burrow, the rookie quarterback, and I think the Eagles defense, they need a turnover. First time in 22 years, they don't have any turnovers in their first 2 games. They're losing the turnover battle, -5 in the NFL, worst in the league. All right, hopefully the Eagles can get their first win, and check out our kickoff show to get you ready for it, 12:15 on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. Thanks for watching Eagles Game Plan presented by Toyota. Enjoy the game. Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, your new official soft drink of your Philadelphia Eagles. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery. Pick up your Eagles Fast Play ticket today.